Hey everybody, Matthew Omican here for Rural Route 2 and for the Old Plain Partnership for Integrated Conservation. What you're about to witness and hear with your earballs is a live recording that we did. The first of its kind that we ever did, and hopefully not the last. Our watershed group, Epic, hosted a Common Ground event, and we decided to kick off the evening with something different, a little bit of a twist. So me and Jason just pulled up the microphones, hit the record button, and we decided to not only do a podcast, but have everybody else in the room included in the podcast. So kick back and enjoy.
All right, so it should be recording. Do you trust me or do you want me to test it?
Did we notify the bartenders that they were going to be part of a live podcast recording?
Wait, hold on. It's just like how we start our podcasts.
What song is this?
Well, that's when I kicked it. That's from our friend Mike Taboris.
Hey, Mike Taboris, can you hear us? Do you hear the song? Can you hear it up there?
Barely.
Okay, just...
Yeah, for some reason it doesn't like to... That's our technical difficulty as we turn it down.
that too.
Why don't you have another one there, Jason? Oh my gosh. Can you just stop every time?
Right,
So
you gotta rein this thing in.
I know. Hey everybody. No, seriously. I don't want to say you never say fire. No, stop.
Tell them the cows are out.
Just stop. Hey, the cows are out. Oh, somebody wanted to yelp. So we were going to have a dramatic effect right here, but
It's hard to have a dramatic effect when no one listens.
yeah, when nobody is listening to anything that we're saying up here. That
All right.
ma'am is. Randy's like, I'm listening. That's
All right.
cool. Oh, it just died down.
All right, let's start.
So what we're doing right now, people, we're going to be talking to you but not looking at you. So what
No.
we and Jason,
We're gonna
me and
actually
Jason
ignore. I forgot that we're supposed to ignore that.
I'm
we're
trying to
here.
explain this.
Yeah. Okay.
So in case everybody doesn't know, one of the things that our watershed group did was that we wanted to expand our horizons and do something really unique. And we wanted to create a podcast.
A better way of saying it is they put their faith in us, or they trusted us, which
Who's
they
they?
probably shouldn't have done.
Who are you
Epic.
talking about? Oh, yeah.
Epic,
To say, like,
yeah.
sure, we'll buy you guys some microphones and trust you to put podcast episodes out.
Yeah.
So in case you don't know what podcast that we're talking about, we started a podcast last year called Rural Route 2.
It's really hard to say.
Say that 10 times fast.
Everyone try to say Rural Route 2.
Yeah, see, it's such a mess.
Hey, I didn't plan on. How many, by show of hands, and some people I'm sure don't remember, but how many people know that their mailing address was Rural Route 2 at some point in their life?
Those
See,
are some brave
why
souls
is
that
it-
raised their hands.
Why is that so common? Like, I was Rural Route 2, and we were talking about it one day, and then Matt's like, well, I was too.
Yeah, that was on Grandpa Jim's old dog's collar. If found, bring back to World Route 2.
Yeah, I mean, people used to send the Cavadini family letters, and they just wrote Rural Route 2, and it somehow made it to our house.
Oh,
So what are we doing here?
I don't know. Is this still a good idea?
I don't know. Where's the script?
This seemed like a great idea 2 months ago.
So for those of you who don't know, we have a podcast.
I said that already.
Yeah, I know, but I'm reminding them.
Oh, which you can download on your mobile device wherever you listen to podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Podbean.
So this is going downhill real fast.
So you
I
gotta bring
just
us-
remembered that part of our plan was we were going to wear blazers.
Yeah,
We were going to wear suit jackets.
I have a tie on.
Why did we...
Oh,
I have flashbacks.
Oh, yeah, so Yeah, sitting up here, being fancily dressed, yeah, that brings me back to a very cold,
oh man,
very dramatic night.
Yeah. Where's your wife? Do you know where we're going with this story? There was this one time at a bar. How many stories start out like that?
If it's in Wisconsin, 100%.
Okay, so one time at a bar, we were there, and our wives were with us, and we were wearing blazers.
I had a tie on.
Matt had a tie on.
I looked nice.
Matt was talking at his normal volume.
A lot of bowls of loudmouth soup for this guy.
And we started, actually, the bartender had a tattoo on her arm of, do you remember?
Mr. John Muir.
Yeah, she had, and she could not believe that Matt knew who that was.
I said, you know, that guy sat on an iceberg and ate crackers just for fun.
So they start this conversation, and Matt kind of gets off in his own world, and he's not paying attention to anything else going on. And he's telling...
Pretty easily.
He somehow goes into, we have a podcast, and he's explaining this podcast. And there's lots of ways that you could explain our podcast, but probably if you're going to, like, boil it down to one statement, it would be that it's about, like, preserving rural lifestyle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. We're trying to make rural living known or cool again.
Yeah. So Matt's telling John Muir lady, bartender, about rural lifestyle.
And old man tattoos.
I start to hear some comments coming from the other side of the bar. He's in his own little world. Come to find out, the wives had been hearing it for a while, but they had been trying diligently to make sure he was not hearing those comments. But there was someone there who took, what's the right word for it? I can't think of the right term, but did not agree with us. He didn't like that you were talking about rural living, right?
Oh, yeah, because I was talking about, like, chopping wood, cows run out of the pen, you got to put them back in.
So
all that kind of stuff.
We need to make sure the story doesn't get too long. But anyway, the guy's like, you guys aren't rural. With some expletives, right?
It was one of those, like, it's one of those people where he's mumbling and he wants to make sure you're hearing it because he's trying to pick a fight. And he's like, those boys ain't country.
And this is real, like, and this kept going on, and Matt's oblivious to it. And finally, I'm like, hey, guy, we are on, like, a super rare couple hours away from the kids, and we just want to just enjoy ourselves for a couple hours, so let's just cool our jets.
Yeah, but he didn't stop there, and then you had to end the conversation when you said, well, I raise beef, and I shot a big buck last year.
Yeah, and so anyway, what's our point of this whole story? This guy was, like, super insistent because of what? Because we were wearing our blazers? Is that what it was?
Yeah, we were dressed in some preppy, metrosexual, dressed up stuff, and we were talking about how rural living is for the tough and the bold, and it's for people who like to work with their hands. And he probably said, those guys probably don't do a lick of work out on the farm field. Meanwhile, I got my Polaris Ski-Doo jacket on, and I got a baseball cap that says Farm Boy across the top. And I got a terrible haircut, so I'm as country as it comes.
His hat said country boy.
It did. That was probably the only most country thing he had going.
And then Matt's sweet wife, Sarah, said, oh, do you live in the country? And he said, kind of.
Yeah, Amherst.
Anyway, so the whole point of this is he had his mind made up what it looked like to be rural, and we didn't fit the bill.
Yeah, exactly.
So how's that connect to this?
Absolutely. With 5 minutes remaining.
All right, we're good.
I got to give you a warning on that one.
How's that connect to Common Ground?
So it's a great story because the one thing that agriculture and I would say the natural resources struggle with is that there's well-established stigmas and narratives that kind of work against it. So a lot of people would say from one side to the other, Well, I have to farm this way because this is the way I've always seen it. I gotta muscle up the plow. We gotta work at it several times. We do a corn, soybean. That's how you do this stuff, and that's the way you gotta do it because that's what I'm comfortable with. That's what I associate.
And that's what they
agriculture
talk
with.
about in all the country songs too, right?
Bonfires, yeah, sure. And then even on the other side with like the natural resources, everybody just assumes that when somebody's like, hey, we got to have clean water and we got to watch what we're doing with our, our natural landscape, everybody thinks that they're free loving spirits, dirty hippies, and that's what I mean. But when you look at an event like this and you kind of like look around, you have people from various walks of life, from various types of professions.
Right.
But what you realize is that everybody has overlapping goals the whole entire time.
Yeah.
Farmers want to farm well. We want to be good stewards of the land. And then environmentalists and politicians want to preserve those natural resources and to ensure that agriculture continues. And that's what we try to do with what we have here with Common Ground and what we try to do with this group and what we try to do with this podcast.
So the goal of Common Ground is to get everyone to set all of those preconceived notions, perceptions, all of them aside and say, hey, we all have this one thing in common. So one final story about that. So does everyone see their Epic decal in front of them at the table?
Is it
All right.
a decal or a sticker?
It's whatever you want it to be.
You went to the sticker store
Okay, so there's
and
this.
bought some decals.
There's a guy down the road over by Spencer, and pretty cool guy. I volunteer and teach hunter safety with him, and he's a big coon hunter and also bow fisher. And he made these stickers, and so I go in there to pick them up, and he's like, "What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, Epic." So I gave him like the elevator pitch. I'm like, it's just a group of farmers and people concerned with the environment and the water and the soil and everyone. It's just an attempt to get them all together, paddling in the right direction. That's the term that came to my mind.
paddling together.
Well, what was interesting about it is, number one, he didn't know about it, but he thought it was super intriguing because here is the resource that is like his lifeblood. Like, this is where he spends 75% of his time.
Personally and economically.
Yes, and he did not know that this group existed. But what it made me think about is that's what brings us all here, is we're all coming from a different angle, from a different perspective, but the one thing that we all have in common is, whether you want to call it, his playground is the thing that we're trying to protect. This resource is the thing that connects all of us.
And that's the heart of Common Ground.
Right.
Bringing
That's-
people together, sitting them at the table. Yeah.
Did you just come up with that, the heart of Common Ground?
I tried to make that as casual sounding as I could, but
All right.
it was scripted.
Oh, okay. All right. Where do we go from here?
Well, I thought we did pretty good.
Yeah,
we got 1
so-
minute remaining.
Congratulations, everyone. You have now been part of the Rural Route 2 podcast.
And I was just saying, this was actually recorded. So if you want to hear all of that, just go download that podcast.
Hey, how about we do this?
What?
To kick this thing off, how about everyone give a big round of applause to us meeting in person again for the first time
Oh,
in
yes.
2 years.
All right. I like that. That was unscripted.
So the Rural Route 2 podcast has been brought to you by the O'Plain Partnership for Integrated Conservation.
I can't remember my line.
It's the mission statement.
I know.
Integrating resilience
Resiliency.
into the
Community and resources of the Old Plain watershed.
good enough.
Thanks, everybody. And then, oh yeah, go ahead. One last shout out, and you can give that person a clap. Hey, Mr. Tiberius Taboris. Wave your hand. Oh, they can just clap for you, and I just say your name. That's pretty baller. He, so if you ever hear any of the jingles on our podcast or on like a few of our epic videos, he writes those. So
We actually
he-
have one whole episode where we
Yes, and that one's. I know we're gonna publish it soon.
After Matt leaves tonight, he
Yep.
will post that one.
But yeah, so he jingles those. So not only is he prolific in his job working at River Alliance, but he knows how to play a wicked banjo. So thank you very much, Michael. There you go. That concludes Rural Route 2. So we'll take it away to Mr. Paul Daigle.